So if you want to love and make someone happy, you should ask yourself question, do I understand him enough? Do I understand her enough? And you may like to go to her and ask, darling, do you think I understand you enough? And she will tell you. You have not understood her enough. That's sure. And she can help you. Darling, because I want to love you and make you happy, I want to understand you. And first of all, your difficulties, your suffering, now and during your childhood. Please tell me, help me, because I know very well that if I don't understand you, I will make a lot of mistakes. That is the language of love. So understanding is, first of all, understanding suffering. Difficulties, sufferings, blockage. You understand the despair. The frustration, the difficulties, the pain of the person you love. But if you have already understood your own pain, your own anguish, your own despair, it will be much easier to understand the anguish, the despair, and the pain of the other person. Because ill-being is inside and around. If we understand the nature of ill-being inside, it will be much easier to understand the nature of ill-being around us. So the Four Noble Truths should be addressed to oneself and to the world, not only to the world, to oneself. Self-understanding is very important for the understanding of the other person. And understanding here, first, is understanding ill-being, understanding suffering. And in the tradition, there are those like Avalokiteshvara. They know how to listen. They know how to observe. They know how to look. That is why they can understand. And when you understand the suffering of someone, you can relieve a lot of her suffering, his suffering. Because every one of us is hungry of understanding. Many of us complain that we have never been understood. Nobody has understood us. So cultivate understanding in order to understand the people around us. That is a basic practice. And understanding is first understanding of ill-being, the meditation on the first noble truth. Many of us are afraid of ill-being, are afraid of suffering. And the natural tendency is to try to run away from ill-being, from suffering. And that is why you have no chance. And in the Buddhist teaching, you are advised to stay with your suffering, to hold your suffering, your ill-being dearly, and to have a deep look on it. The practice of the first and the second noble truth. And if you don't understand the nature of ill-being, if you have not seen the path leading to suffering, you cannot see the path, you cannot see the hope of having well-being and the path leading to well-being. That is why meditation on the first two truths will lead to the understanding, to the attainment of the third and the fourth truth. That is why it is impossible for Buddha to speak about happiness alone and not to talk about suffering. And it is true also that it is impossible for the Buddha to speak about suffering alone without speaking about happiness. Because suffering and happiness, they are like the mud and the lotus, one making the other. We can learn a lot from suffering. We have to get in touch with suffering. We have to look deeply into the nature of suffering, and that will bring out, that will help us cultivate understanding and compassion. Without that, we cannot be a happy person. Without that, we cannot make the happiness of another person. And therefore, understanding suffering is very important. That is why in Plumblish we speak about the goodness of suffering. If we have suffered, that's good. And we have the materials in order to learn, to inquire about the possibility of happiness, of being happy. Imagine you send your children to a place where there is no suffering, and your child has not got enough understanding and love. In a place where there is no suffering, how can your child learn to understand and to be compassionate? So if the kingdom of God does not have suffering, I would not like to go there. I would not like to send my children there because it's not a good place to learn. So my definition of God, of the kingdom, is a place where there is a plenty of understanding and compassion. But that implies that suffering is there. Because without suffering, you can never cultivate understanding and compassion. When you say that in the upper hamlet, in the new hamlet, there are many lotus flowers, it means there is mud in the lower hamlet. If there is no mud, don't talk about lotus flowers, because lotus flowers cannot be there without the mud. So it's sufficient to say that the kingdom of God is a place where there is a lot of understanding and compassion and love. There, people know how to make use of the suffering in order to fabricate understanding and love. Because it is with suffering that we can fabricate understanding and love. And we, as a practitioner, we have to see the nature of interbeing between dukkha and sukha, ill-being and well-being. They inter-are. It's like the left and the right. You cannot eliminate the right and keep the left alone. Even if you want, if you are determined to eliminate by using a saw and to cut it into half, and as soon as you throw the other half, this end becomes the right. You cannot get it of the right. And many of you are politically on the left. And don't hope that the right will disappear. If the right disappears, you disappear also. So wherever the left is, the right is. Wherever the lotus is, the mud is. Wherever understanding and love is, suffering is. We need the suffering as a substance in order to fabricate happiness. So we have to understand the first teaching of the Buddha in that light. It looks simple, but it's very deep. The interbeing, the nature of interbeing between ill-being and well-being. And the second noble path, although it is called an ignoble path, but it is a noble truth, because we have to understand. If we don't understand the second truth, the fourth truth can never appear to us. Understanding the second noble truth, suddenly the path, the noble path, is revealed to us. It's not correct to say that first I have to understand the truth of ill-being, and then I move on to understand the truth of the making of ill-being. No, it's not like that. It's not the way. We know that the four into are. One contains all the others. So study and practice in such a way that when you look into one truth, you see all the other three in it. Suppose we ask a politician to talk to us about the situation in terms of the first noble truth. He will mention poverty, social injustice, please help. Discrimination. Poverty, social injustice, hunger, violence, discrimination. I think politicians they think more about le pouvoir d'achat, unemployment. Economic crisis, recession, and so on. Pollution. When you ask a ecologist or someone who fight for the ecosystem, they will say pollution, global warming. But politicians they mention the things like recession, poverty, social injustice, food first. Yeah, because, job. Alcohol. For people like us, spiritual seekers, meditation practitioners, when we speak of when we speak about ill-being, we want to go deeper. We want to go deeper. We have not come to the root yet, but the symptom, we want to go deeper and more in detail. We want to be very specific. We want to go from the beginning. And that is why we can say the tension in the body, the tension in the body, the pain in the body, the tension in the mind and the pain in the mind, which is something that is there right in this moment. We are interested in how to abolish poverty, abolish social injustice, to deal with the problem of global warming and economic recession. But what is about the tension in the body that you feel every moment, the pain in your body, and the painful feeling that does not want to go? We have to deal with these things. We want to deal with the roots, because maybe these things, if not dealt with, they will bring about the other things. And this is the way the Buddha talked about. He did not begin with the suffering of social injustice, poverty, hunger. He began with the lack of peace within your body and your mind. And that is why we have something to contribute. We have a voice. We want to deal with it realistically and at the roots. In the Sutra of Mindful Breathing, the Buddha proposed 16 exercises of mindful breathing, and dealing with all the basic suffering of a human being. There is a film company in Vietnam, Sena Film. They are doing a film with the title The 16 Exercise of Breathing that help rescue the world. They are coming to Plumvillage next month, and we support them. They know how important to take care of oneself before you can take care of the world. The first exercise the Buddha proposed is about paying attention to your in-breath and out-breath. Breathing in, I know this is my in-breath. Breathing out, I know this is my out-breath. And that exercise is to identify your in-breath and your out-breath. It's a very simple, but when you bring your attention to your in-breath and your out-breath, you stop thinking of the past, you stop thinking of the future, you begin to go home to yourself. Go into yourself is the first thing to do. Even for politicians, economists, and so on. If you don't go home to yourself, you are not your best. You cannot serve the world the best way you can, right? You have to be yourself, to be your best. And the Buddha wants us to be our best. the philosophy of being as the foundation for the philosophy of action. So when you pay attention to your in-breath and out-breath, you live the past, you live the future, you come home to the present moment. You bring your mind back to your body. You touch the present moment. You become alive. And the second exercise is to follow your breath from the beginning to the end. Breathing in, I follow my in-breath from the very beginning to the end. Breathing out, I follow my out-breath from the beginning to the end. So your mindfulness is uninterrupted. You are truly mindful. You are truly concentrated. And suddenly you are there, body and mind, together, established in the here and now. And you can touch life. And you can handle the situation of your life. So that is the first two exercises that any true practitioner in our tradition should master, to identify the breath and to follow the breath, so that you are there, truly alive, truly you, so that you can begin to handle the problems, your problem and the problem of the world. And the third, breathing in, I'm aware of my body, my whole body. You have to handle your body first. Because in your body, there's an accumulation of tension and pain. And you cannot be your best if you don't know how to release the tension and the pain in you. So the third exercise is a kind of family reunion between mind and body. And your mind becomes an embodied mind. Your mind is no longer a vagabonder. Your mind is home with his body, with her body. And your mind is an embodied mind. It's true mind. Mind and body come together. And you are really there. And with the third exercise, you realize your body. And right away you know that there is tension and pain in your body. And you would like to do something in order to improve the situation. And that is the fourth exercise recommended by the Buddha. Breathing in, I release all the tension in my body. Well, there is an economic recession, of course. There is the global warming, of course. I want to do something about it, but I want to be my best before I can handle these kind of things. And we know that the tension in the body has been accumulated because of you, because of us. We don't practice deep total relaxation. We don't do things relaxingly. We always try to run. That has become a collective habit. The whole society is doing the same. So stress, depression become universal. And think about the amount of drugs, sedative drugs, tranquilizers that we consume. And many of us need to be sedated by drugs. Ask them as how much drugs the people of France, the population in France use in every day. So the practice of meditation offered by the Buddha does not induce us into a dream, but help us to confront the reality of life. Because we are truly there, we know how to handle, to manage the situation. And right in the beginning, you learn to manage your in-breath and out-breath, and then you learn to manage your body. The accumulation of tensions will bring about all kinds of diseases and pain. And the release of tension will lessen the pain in our body. When there is less tension, the pain will be less active. And the fourth exercise of mindful breathing is about bringing more well-being into your body. The Four Noble Truths, the path. There is a way of breathing that can help release the tension and the pain, that can reduce the dukkha, the ill-being, and bring about some well-being. And if you know the exact way of breathing, and begin to breathe, change, transformation begins right away. So in one in-breath, you can practice all the four Noble Truths. To recognize that tension is in the body, pain in the body. Recognize the tension and pain in the body, and breathing in such a way that can help you to release tension in the body. So all the Four Noble Truths can be seen in one in-breath or out-breath. When you practice mindful walking, each step is made relaxingly, freely. While we are free from the past and from the future, each step also can release the tension in the body and reduce the pain in the body. So that those of us who practice walking meditation and heal ourselves, that is why it's very important to learn the art of walking, so that each step can help release tension, not only in body, but in our mind. Because the seventh exercise of breathing is to recognize, to identify a painful feeling The third is to identify to recognize the body. The first is to identify the in-breath and out-breath. The second exercise is to follow the in-breath and out-breath all the way through. The third is to identify, to recognize, to be aware of the body. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body. That's the third exercise. And if you are truly aware, you know there is tension and pain in it. And that is why you need the fourth exercise, releasing tension. In body. You are aware of your body with pain and tension, and you want to do something to release the tension and pain in your body. With the seventh exercise, you become aware of a painful feeling in you. Ill being, the first noble truth. There is a painful feeling in you. And you want to handle that feeling. You know how to do it with your body. Now you learn how to do it with your feelings. And the eighth exercise of breathing is to release the tension in the feeling. The official translation is calming feeling. Calming feeling. Calming is relaxing. Aware of body, calming body. Aware of tension, of feeling, calming feeling. In Chinese, in the Chinese canon, we use the word tức. And we use the word chỉ. Chỉ means to stop. To stop it, to help it come to a stop. You don't need to brutalize it, you don't need to fight it, you don't need to do violence to it, you just help it to stop. also means to stop, to calm, to release. And we also have the double expression, hưu tức. Hưu is also to stop, to give it a rest, to stop, to rest. Hưu tức. And we have also the expression trí tức. It means to stop and to give it a rest. And that is about our body and our feeling. We have to stop the tension, the pain in our body. There must be non-violent way, a tender way to help your body to release tension and pain. And that is part of the practice. And any good practitioner of meditation should know how to breathe in order to release the tension in body and to calm a feeling, to bring a relief to a feeling. After you learn how to be aware of your body and calm your body, you learn to be aware of the painful feeling in you, and you learn how to release the tension in that feeling, to calm that feeling. So the first four exercises of mindful breathing is about body, and the next set of four is about feelings, including the 5 and the 6. The 5th and the 6th. And the fifth is very interesting. How to bring about a pleasant feeling. You breathe in such a way that you can bring about a pleasant feeling. A pleasant feeling, pleasure is possible. That is the teaching of the Buddha. Bringing a feeling of joy. And the 6th is bringing a feeling of happiness. So we can very well study the sutras on mindful breathing in the light of the Four Noble Truths. The teaching of the Four Noble Truths follow and penetrate into all Buddhist teachings, in all Buddhist schools of teachings. And this is an art. You are a practitioner. You know how to breathe in order to bring about a feeling of joy. Because you need it. You need a feeling of joy. You need a feeling of happiness for your nourishment and healing. And it is possible to practice in order to bring in a feeling of joy, a feeling of happiness. And when you are well nourished, you are strong enough to handle the painful feeling, the pain, the deep pain within yourself and the world. So the method recognized, offered by the Buddha, is very methodical, very scientific. It begins with the body and then with the feelings. We know that when a patient is too weak, they don't allow him to be operated. Surgery should be postponed. And we have to help the patient to be stronger, to have a better capacity to resist before he can allow to be on surgery. So the Buddha, he is also a good doctor. He knows that we need some tonic medicine. We need some nourishment to be strong enough before we can handle the block of suffering that is inside of us and in the world. Very realistic, very, very pragmatic, the teaching of the Buddha. And that is why when philosophers came and tried to provoke the Buddha to talk about the beginning of the world, things like that, he always refused. That is a waste of time. I like only to speak about suffering and the transformation of suffering. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your practice, enjoy your time in the upper hamlet.